When setting up a financial model, one of the first things you have to do is consider the duration of it. Is the model going for 1 year or 5 years, 30 years, or in some cases 99 years in the future? Is the model periodicity going to be monthly or quarterly, semi-annual or annual? By periodicity, I mean the duration each column of the model will represent. Different models require different periodicity, and before you start modeling, you have to decide on this and then build the timing resolution of the model. What do I mean by this? Let's look at an example with a quarterly periodicity for 6 periods or 1.5 years. This is really typical of what you would need to see, with the start of the period on row 1 on a separate line from the end of the period on row 2. Each column represents its own quarter, the first period starting on the 1st of January 2021 and ending on the 31st of March 2021. The second quarter starts 1 day after the first quarter on the 1st of April 2021 and ends on the 30th of June 2021. There is, of course, one single formula per row starting in column C being copied across. This is the layout we require, and in this lesson we will learn how dates in Excel work, how to calculate a model timeline, and how to add other useful counters to your model, such as how many years the project has been operating for. But before we build the required calculations, let's understand what dates in Excel actually represent. So starting in A1, we have the 1st of January 1900. In B1, the date is the 2nd of January 1900. They are formatted as day, month, year, just to avoid confusion between the US and international date formats. To set this format, we go to Cell Format, which you can access by right-clicking on a cell and pressing Format. So why the 1st of January 1900? I'm pretty sure none of you were born by this date, except maybe you, Dan. I'm pretty sure you were born by then. You didn't like that one at all. Anyway, dates are actually integers, just formatted to look like a date, with Excel also recognizing that this format is broken down into days, a month, and a year. And the 1st of January 1900 represents the first date in Excel, for PCs at least, or it has a value of 1. So in this example, row 2 equals row 1, but it's formatted as an integer. So the 2nd of January 1900 equals 2, the 3rd of January 1900 equals 3, and so on and so forth. And given they're integers, we can also add or subtract dates from each other, or add integers to them. The 1st of January plus 1 just equals 2. The 2nd of January minus the 1st of January of the same year equals 1. So that's great to know, but it still doesn't tell me how to get a date 3 months after another to create my quarterly time frame. I can't just add 90 days to the start of every quarter because every quarter has a different length. Luckily, Excel has a function for us called EOMONTH. The EOMONTH formula works equals EOMONTH, open parenthesis, start date, comma, number of months after the start date, close parenthesis, where a positive number of months will achieve dates after the start date, and a negative number of months will calculate a date before the start date. Using some examples, let's say we have EOMONTH, 1st of January 2021, 0. That equals the 31st of January 2021. EOMONTH takes you to the end of the current month. The start date had instead been, say, the 14th of January, the result would still have been the same, the end of the current month. with EOMONTH, 1st of Jan 2021, 1, we get the 28th of February 2021. That's the end of the month 1 month after the current month. If we had EOMONTH 1 Jan 2021, 2, that equals the 31st of March 2021, the end of the month 2 months after the current month. So for the end of a quarter, we want to use EOMONTH start date, 2. It's a little counterintuitive as we want to go ahead 3 months, not 2. But the reason is that 0 takes you to the end of the current month. So we really want to go ahead 3 months minus 1 equals 2. Sorry, that's just how it works. I didn't design it. We don't want to use a hard-coded 2, so we replace that with a name range of months per quarter, which equals 3, minus 1 equals 2. So back to our quarterly timeline. Our calculations are as follows. For the end of the first quarter, C2 equals EOMONTH, open parentheses, C1, comma, months per quarter minus 1, which equals the 31st of March 2021. As we can add dates, the start of the next quarter is just D1 equals C2 plus 1 equals the 1st of April 2021. Period 2 starts the beginning of the day following the end of period 1. And of course, both rows are now copied across to the end of the required time period. You may now be asking, well, how long should a model timeline be? Good question. And the answer is, it depends on the duration of the project or the investment. But it's wise to always leave a little bit of spare room in case things don't go quite to plan. As some guidance, if you have a 5-year plan project, perhaps take the model out to, say, 7 years. Sometimes we need to calculate a date a number of months after another. Actually, Dan, you love Valentine's Day, and this section includes the 14th of February, so why don't you take over from here?
I am a romantic, and I do love Valentine's Day, which is why I've bought you this wonderful bottle of French wine. Sometimes we need to calculate a date which is a certain number of months after another. For example, the project may draw down debt on the 14th of February 2021, and repayments are to be every 3 months thereafter, meaning that the first repayment is the 14th of May 2021. And Excel has a function to help us out with that, and that function is eDate. The way we would call eDate is simply equals eDate, open parentheses, specify a start date, comma, and specify a number of months, close parentheses. The formula is broadly the same as EOMONTH. However, the number of months that we input calculates a future date, which is a certain number of months into the future that's on the same day of the month as the start date. So if, for example, what we're calling is eDate 14 February 2021, comma 3, close parentheses, that will take us to the 14th of May 2021.
In addition to our date timeline at the top of the model, there are a number of other common date type calculations that a model may need, such as in which calendar year is the current period, or which quarter are we in? Are we in quarter 1, 2, 3, or 6 from the start of the model? Or maybe which model year we're in, year 1, year 2, or year 3 from the start of the model. For calendar year, Excel comes to the rescue and we can use the year function. It's just year, open parentheses, period end date, close parentheses. So in C4, we get 2021. For model quarter, it's also quite easy. We start with a value of 1 in the first column, and we just add 1 every period. So D5 equals C5 plus 1. Model year is a little bit trickier, and we want to see 1 for 4 periods throughout 2021, and then 2 for 4 periods throughout 2022. This is a little challenging, but when converting between time periods, think about either dividing or multiplying numbers. For example, if we are in quarter 8, what year is this? It's year 2. Of course, but how did we get there? We divided 8 being the 8th quarter by 4 being the number of quarters in a year. The challenge is this works great for the 8th quarter or the 4th quarter as they're factors of 4. So when dividing by 4, we get a whole number. But what about quarter 3? 3 divided by 4 equals 0.75, or the 5th quarter, 5 divided by 4 equals 1.25. Maybe you can see a solution. We can use the roundup function to round up to the nearest whole number. Rounding up quarter 3's value of 0.75 to 1 and the 5th quarter value of 1.25 to 2. The equation for roundup is simply roundup, open parentheses, number, comma, number of digits, close parenthesis. So in the 3rd quarter, as an example, the equation equals roundup, open parentheses, 3 divided by 4, that's that 0.75, comma, 0. That rounds up to 1, the correct answer. Of course, though, we don't use hard code, so we replace this with roundup, open parentheses, model quarter, divided by quarters per year, comma, 0. Quite challenging, but it's okay. We will do this together in class. Just come prepared to model.
Thank you for sticking with us. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to receive more free content, please subscribe below.
Or if you'd like to take an in-person or online course, click the link below to see the full course portfolio. Thank you.